Yeah, go ahead and keep shaking. You're live, so we may as well start shaking. Yeah, there you go.
Shake until chilled.
Shake until you see the frost on the shaker.
It's getting close.
Whatever.
It is. There's some frost on there.
There you go. All right, you're good.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, we're live, Solomon.
Oh, cool.
I just wanted to get us live because there's quite a few people waiting for us.
God,
Everybody,
imagine.
The gang's all
hey,
here.
Everybody.
Rhett's not there. Hey, Jeff McKinney. So yeah, we're trying to figure out like what article to talk about tonight.
Would you believe I didn't look at them?
I would believe that.
You know, hey everybody on YouTube. It's just man, it's Easter dealing with two different sets of families rolling in and out on different days. It's just been I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Can everybody just go back to like 6 months ago? That was easier.
No,
I had a 2-day hangover on top of the fact that I ate a bunch of sugar.
Real talk. My last night we stayed up way past my bedtime, like 10:30, playing Barbucks with my folks. That was going well until somebody spilled their drink all over my crotch. But I like that they're laminated. Like, dude, good call.
Let's see. So Kristen says we should throw out the news stories and they can pick.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So what do we got?
Show them the notes. Just pull up the notes and start talking through it.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, we can do that.
Hey, everybody watching live. Hey, we've never done this before, buddies. Everybody go ahead and hit like on YouTube while we're doing this for you. Because every like is like tipping your bartender. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
And we played Cards Against Humanity afterwards, Brett. That got pretty intense. Somebody always leaves crying.
I don't know that anybody can really see that, can they?
I'm working on it. Hold on.
I mean, if there wasn't that like totally distracting background, I think it'd be easier.
All right. So what do we got here? Ruyak. You've got what's the craft brewing? What's the Brewers Association?
The annual report, on-premise sales are down. Yeah, on-premise sales are down 22%. Overall production is down 9%.
I'm going to say no to the TPS report.
Okay.
I know it's not booze. Oh, there's apparently a ketchup shortage going on.
Oh, that's important. Let's talk about that.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah.
All right.
What's the pucker factor thing?
That is a Virginia brewery that is trying to get into the Guinness Book of World Records with the hottest beer made with Carolina Reapers, I think. And they're working with scientists to see if they can figure out how to nail down the Scoville units of that one.
Oh, that sounds great. And then Ruyak, you want to yell about corkage fees?
Yeah.
Today? Okay.
We didn't talk about that last week.
And now everybody's just now it's all TPS reports. So we've lost the chat. It's gone. It's game over. All right. So we want to talk about Kristen. We're going to talk about ketchup. Where's what I'm looking for here? Where's my highlighter? There it is. Ketchup and hot beer. Hot stinky beer.
Hot steamy beer.
Oh, yes.
Let's see here.
Oh yes, Flair comments. Yes, this is all. This is just what we want tonight. Oh, JVB's already bringing the lightning down in your story, John.
Whatever, it's important. And then it's extraordinarily important for people who are on a severe budget, like college students who make tomato soup from ketchup packets.
No, nobody does that.
There we go.
No one's ever done that.
They're good. I need some water.
Well, at least we're getting the play-by-play of that. Share that. I gotta reset this up, and then.
Man, I really love your stream, bro.
Oh, I've got a story about that.
Yeah, all right.
True story.
Oh, creature. All right, there we go. All right. All right, you guys all set. So did you give me an intro yet, Jeff?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I did. Did you follow that?
I think I can follow along with that one.
We've never been demonetized in the intro before, so that'll be.
We'll see what happens this week. All right, you guys all set then?
Let's go.
Yeah. Let me kill that light back there.
All right.
Big difference.
Big difference.
Yeah, we can't see you at all. It's a huge difference.
All right.
Fuck you, John.
Now are we ready?
Sure.
I am always ready. I am big.
At the sound of the tone, the official "We Like Drinking" time will be 5 o'clock. Commence consumption.
This week on episode 324 of the We Like Drinking podcast, we'll be discussing hot, wet, steamy beer and ketchup. So crack open that beer, uncork that wine, and let's get drinking. Oh man, when we were off camera, there was headphones flying everywhere. There was stuff possibly breaking. Things got way out of control.
Did it have anything to do with the fact that the music didn't line up with the video?
Yeah, absolutely. It had nothing to do with that. Nothing at all.
Oh, okay.
Don't mind that. Oh my goodness, Jeff Burrows is watching the show live tonight.
That's
out.
exciting, man.
That is exciting.
So
cheers, my podcast drinking friends, and welcome to Happy Hour 324 of your favorite award-winning topical beer and wine education podcast, focusing on fun. We like to have a lot of it, and we're going to do it a lot tonight. So make sure you never miss another episode of our brand of drinking fun by visiting welikedrinking.com/subscribe.
Subscribe.
Yeah.
So much excitement. So this is going to be a fun episode. Usually we have a drinking episode somewhere around here. We do have a show each month where we don't have a guest. That's going to be this one. But, we have this thing called our Patreons, our patrons of the show. And for some of our patrons, the patrons that give us $10 a month, like they are all in. Eventually, when we remember, or they remind us that they are at that level, they get to play bartender for an episode. And usually what happens is they'll get to give one person on the show, they'll get to pick a drink for them, and that's what they have to go drink on the show. Sometimes it works out well, sometimes not so much. So our good dear friend Kristen is getting her episode tonight. and we reached out to her and said, okay, who do you want? What do you want? And actually we said, you know what? It's been so long. You tell all of us what to drink. So what do you want to make us drink? And she just said, I want some classics. I just want to give you guys classic sours, and you guys just go to town and let's see what you guys do. So she challenged us to come in with some sour mania, mixed drinks, not beers, mixed drinks.
Oh, wait. No, I thought it was beers, right?
No, it's
I
not.
brought like a whole 4-pack of smoothie sours. It cost me like $25.
Well, then you failed, Jeff Solomon. Well done. Way to pay attention.
Jeez Louise.
I know, right? So you keep hearing us talking. Let's find out who we are, and then we'll talk about what we're drinking. We're joined by our usual panel members. We have our California Sustainable Wine Growing Ambassador and recovering wine blogger, Jeff Solomon.
Go sit and go with the go with me, man.
We've got our commercial brewer and snake wrangler, John Ruyak.
What do you say after that?
And I am your host and certified specialist of wine, Jeff Eccles. All right, gentlemen, what are we drinking tonight? I'm going to start with myself. So no, you know what? Ruyak, we'll start with you. What are you drinking?
I made a classic gin sour, and I can tell you a story about how I made that.
Well, go ahead.
So I looked up a classic recipe for a gin sour, and I was short. I hate zesting citrus. It just never seems to work for me. So
Okay.
so the option was, if you were using egg whites, to put a couple of drops of bitters on top. So
Yep.
I stopped by Kelly's Liquors and picked up some aromatic bitters, and they're like, do you want the receipt? I said, yeah, it's tax deductible. And you know, what do you mean tax deductible? So I'm going to drink it on my podcast. And the guy's like, you have a podcast? And I said, yeah, it's called We Like Drinking. He hands me a sheet of paper and says, can you write that down? I'm like, okay, we like drinking. And there's a customer behind us. Oh, that's pretty cool. Right. And I'm in a hurry to get home or whatever. And it's just, we'll check it out. So, hey, maybe the dudes from Kelly's Liquors are watching tonight or listening later on. We don't know.
Hey, Kelly Liquors.
But as I'm making my classic gin sour with an egg white, a half an ounce of egg white, mind you, I crack an egg, and here come the dogs, because I'm not using the yolk, and they know when we bake that there's several things we use only the whites for. So whenever we crack an egg in this house, the dogs just come running. So only, I had to break that yolk in half and split it between the two dog bowls. But the more important thing is, do you know how fucking hard it is to measure a half an ounce of egg white?
That's why you don't measure a half an ounce of egg white. You just use the whole egg white.
I used a half an ounce. It said half an ounce, and it's a fucking raw egg white. I'm only using as much as they told me to, because I'm trying to get it into the shot glass that has a little half ounce thing, and it's going glop, glop, glop from the bowl into the shot glass, from the bowl into the shot glass. It took me a couple of tries, but I finally got it, and here we are.
Excellent.
That looks beautiful. Oh, the frustration of cohesion. Oh, man.
Jeff Solomon.
Yeah, I made, unfortunately I did buy a whole bunch of sour beers. But the great thing about my beautiful backyard is I have this beautiful Eureka lemon tree, and I'm always looking for ways to use them. So I was so happy to see, and I'm not a huge cocktail dude, but I was so happy to see like a classic whiskey sour. I'm going to call mine a bourbon sour because I'm doing it with the last of my Four Roses single barrel Kentucky Straight bourbon. I did this with 2 parts bourbon, 1 part fresh Comanche Street grown Eureka lemons.
Nice.
Canadian maple syrup. I've got an orange wheel, and I've got a couple of cocktail cherries. That was the most difficult thing, like describing to Kara when she was going to Target. I'm like, yeah, just pick me up some cherries. I'm like, they might be by the mixed drinks, they might be by the ice cream. So yeah, so a couple of like maraschino cherries that came from a plastic jar, but here we go. This is my bourbon sour.
Can't you get maraschino cherries at the salad bar? Oh, they don't have salad bars these days.
I will say,
who the fuck puts maraschino cherries on a salad? Go back to Sizzler. What is this, 1989?
I will say, Solomon, if you plan on making more of those, if I may suggest, splurge on the cherries and get the actual Italian maraschino cherries. Like they're in the dark. They're the dark cherries and the dark syrup. They are so freaking good. They are so good. So Jeff Solomon is going with the whiskey sour. Honestly, one of the most classic of sours that you can go with. I am going with a whiskey sour as well, but I'm going to take it up a notch. I'm going to take it from a whiskey sour to a New York sour, which is basically a whiskey sour with some wine floated on top. So I've got the whiskey.
Foo.
Yeah, so if you're interested and you're part of the tavern, you can watch me make that live. Well, I made it live in the Facebook group in the tavern. That video is available over on the tavern site. Topped off with a little bit of my Repor saved Il Barone from Castillo di Amarosa. So yeah, that is what I'll be going with. I did not make that with the egg white. Jeff Solomon, any thoughts on why I did not make this with the egg white?
Well, I mean, with the wine, it just takes it to another level. If you'd have done the whiskey sour with egg white, I believe that's called a Boston sour. And I think you have something against the Red Sox. I don't know. This guy over here, he puts tomatoes in his clam chowder. Who the fuck knows?
So it's an interesting thing when you mix the egg white, when you get the egg white in there, what does it do to the drink? It seems like reduce the density or make it aerate it more possibly or something. But I found that when you try to float something on top of a drink that you've mixed up with egg whites, that it's a lot harder to float the wine on top, and it becomes a lot more of a mixed drink. It can be done, but it's a little bit harder, I think.
I feel you. It gets into the nooks and crannies. That one, they call it the English muffin. What you might consider doing is seriously frothing the egg white separately and then just spooning it over the top afterwards.
There you go.
That's called a New York latte.
There you go. And I like that you went with a maple syrup instead of a simple syrup. That's got to add a fun flavor to that whiskey sour.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. I had a killer hangover the last time I was in Vegas when I had a Canadian whiskey sour with it must have been 5 ounces of maple syrup that was in it. So I'm hoping to recreate that night.
I like the bitters on top of mine. No question. I mean, I use Tanqueray for this. That's the only other gin we had besides the one last little sample that we got from Whitney Neal of the rhubarb ginger. I wasn't quite sure whether that was going to fly. So interesting to think about, but I'm not sure how that would work in a sour.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, I don't. I'm sure the rhubarb gin is fantastic. It just seems like, adding an extra component, that's something you maybe play around with at the end of the night.
I feel like that's something you should probably just do with tonic, I guess, instead, to preserve the flavors that they so painstakingly put in that.
Yeah. I also will say, I'm kind of wishing this beard weren't here as I'm drinking this, because I am getting a little bit of brewer's yeast, getting into.
So let's hear a little tasting notes there from you guys.
Yeah, so I will say, like, so on this bourbon sour, without egg whites, still amazingly, like, there's this creamy and frothy type of texture that's there already. I'm loving, like, I'm not a big fan of like sugar, and that's one of the reasons why I stay away from cocktails, and it's not because I'm trying to watch my figure. It's just like I don't know. It just, sugar makes me feel weird when I drink a whole lot of it. But in this cocktail, because I mean, really, I'm doing equal ratios of sour to sweet, like definitely balances out there. And I was a little confused at first when, I'm using lemon juice in the drink and it's being garnished with an orange wheel. But really, those flavors do all kind of marry together. Yeah, it's rich. It's a little spicy from that high rye gin, but this is thirst quenching. Like, I really enjoy this, and I killed the rest of that bourbon bottle. There's still some more of this drink in the shaker. So yeah, I'm looking forward to having a fun night, y'all.
Absolutely. John, how is your sour?
So I get, like Solomon said, I did put egg whites in mine against the recommendations of my wife, who's a nurse, and says you shouldn't eat raw eggs, but I say people do it all the time. So what the heck? And goodness gracious, I eat my eggs over medium, not easy, not hard. So what? But the overall impression of the drink is somewhat creamy. I really dig the bitters that I sprinkled on top. I didn't do a great job with the egg white foam. I don't know if I didn't shake it enough. Maybe there was too much ice in my shaker.
Can I ask you a question on that?
Sure.
I ask you a question on that? Did you dry shake it before you add the ice?
I did.
And did you like get after it like you were mad at it?
When I dry shook it?
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, I did. I shook it a lot, but it wasn't really vigorous.
You gotta kind of get vigorous on that to really let that foam up.
Okay. So,
but it looks good to me. Like, I think you did a great job.
I mean, I think the mix is fine. It just didn't foam and it didn't separate. So I really wanted that pretty droplet figure on top of the foam that I didn't get. But what it did do for me is it just dispersed the bitters all over the top of the drink, and so I'm getting it with almost every sip, which I think is neat.
Nice.
So it's creamy. Mine seems a little sweeter, a little tackier. I can definitely taste the gin. I cheated. I didn't squeeze lemons. I used real lemons. Sorry. There's only so much time in the day.
And you made your own simple syrup? I can't remember what you said.
No, I used April's Cheeky.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Okay.
So I had some of that. I think there's only enough for one more drink left in that. So, I mean, I'm enjoying it. Thanks for the bartending, Kristen. I would have never done this on my own. So it was a nice experience, and I learned something about shaking the shit out of it when you dry shake it.
Yeah, when you shake it, it's got to sound like you're the dad in A Christmas Story when he's swearing. He's like,
well, here's the deal. I mean, this is a pretty big shaker, right?
Yeah.
And this, I mean, the amount of liquid that was in this is only to about here. So I'm shaking it and I'm shaking. I'm like, there's really not much going on in there because there's not a lot of liquid. It's a big shaker with just a little bit. So it seemed more legit when I put ice in it and it got frosty on the outside. Yeah. But I like it. I like it. And
or
look,
you throw in some,
here's a question. I mean, I've got some nice lacing on my glass. Should I be adding raw egg whites to the beer that I make in order to get better lacing in my beer?
For sure.
I'll
talk
to Dan about that.
If folks like putting like raw egg whites and stuff, like, that's on you. That's just not my thing. It's just, it's very fancy. It looks nice,
I wanted to make sure it was I wanted to make a legitimate sour, so I put egg white in it.
Yeah. I do it as well. And this one, oh my goodness, man. Like whiskey sour, whiskey sours are so freaking good just on their own. But making this a New York sour, P.S. created in Chicago, but then, it got popularized in New York. So as always, New York trumps the Chicago when it comes to
the second city.
Yeah, exactly. But let me tell you, now typically, if you're going to be making a whiskey sour or a New York sour or something like that, you want to go with like a rye if you want it to be a little bit spicier, or go with a bourbon are going to be your two best bets. The wine floating on top of this, it adds such another dimension to it. It's like there's this almost like this smokiness that comes in that hits your palate first, and a little bit of that fruit, and then the sour kind of just rushes over it and takes over. It just creates this really interesting taste profile in your mouth. It's a lot of fun. I would highly suggest the New York sour to folks out there if you haven't tried one before. Yeah, man. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good.
Looks good.
Thank you, Kristen.
Another dimension.
Another dimension.
New galaxy. Intergalactic planetary. Another dimension. Another dimension. Is that what you did when you poured the wine over the top?
I did. Go watch the video. You could check it out.
Okay.
It's not uncomfortable at all.
And then you fought Mothra or something.
What's that? It's wine, beer, spirit, or pop culture reference. This is where I am going to give these knuckleheads a term, and they're going to try to tell me if it's a wine term, a beer term, a spirit term, or some kind of pop culture reference. I'm excited for this one tonight. The term this week is grog. So is grog a wine term, a beer term, a spirit term, or a pop culture reference? Let's go with Jeff Solomon this week.
Can you spell that, Jeff?
I can. Grog.
Grog. Grog.
Grog.
Grog. And I have to make sure I'm not looking at, I'm actually going to get rid of the comments on my side eye, because I'm sure JVB already has this, and I don't want the answer to be given away. I remember specifically growing up in Santa Cruz County, there was a liquor store that some of my friends would always go to, and they called it the Grog Shop. And I have no idea if that was the name of the store or whatever. It was just like, okay. And so I'm just wondering if there's some sort of and of course that encompasses in a liquor store, like everything that we would be drinking. But to me, it seems like it might be something that kind of gravitates towards liquor, and maybe it's like a word meaning the bartender or the liquor distributor, the guy that has the booze. I'm just kind of going with that just on a whim. I'm probably way wrong, but it wouldn't be the first time. Just the first time I admit it.
So I think Jeff Solomon is saying that this is a spirit term that has something to do with a bartender or a liquor store purveyor.
Yeah. Just the dude that's got the booze.
The dude that's got the booze
is the grog. Yeah.
It's the grog. I like it. John Riak.
Or dudette. I'm just anyone who has the booze.
Yeah.
The person who has the booze.
There you go.
All right. This is old school. Grog is a character in the BC comic strip. He's the dude with the beard and just feet and no body. And he just walks around and goes, grog.
So John Ruyek is saying a pop culture reference referring to the BC comic strip from like the 80s.
But yeah, 50s, 60s, 70s,
Yeah.
80s. And the guy actually helped write the Beetle Bailey strip, I think, something like that.
Okay.
But grog is a drink. Grog is an alcoholic drink, and it's got chunks in it.
Okay. So which are you going to go with? Are you going to go with the chunky?
I think this is a spirit term, and it's a weak, chunky drink.
Weak, chunky drink.
I just want to say, John Ruyek, I've never read that comic book. It sounded like you described the head detective from In Living Color. It was just a head. It was just a head sitting on top of some shoes.
All right. The term grog is in fact a spirit term. Congratulations, guys. You both got it right tonight. The chat is lighting up. Everybody knows this one. No shock there. Grog is actually a term referring to the British Navy and their issuing of rum back in the day. And the grog is actually the rum and a little bit of water mixed into it that they tried to possibly make it taste a little bit better by throwing in some lemon or lime, also to help prevent the scurvy, and maybe a little bit of the sweet. So in essence, the British Navy created or popularized the first sour, and it was called grog. And I'm not ready for it. And it was called grog.
It's a spirit.
Look, if they squeezed lemons and limes into it, what do you think happened?
They made Sprite.
They got chunks in there, man. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
and actually,
before you went out on your sailing trip, you stop by the grog shop, get some grog.
And the story goes that the why it was called grog is because the British Vice Admiral Edward Vernon, who was the one that came up with the mixture to give it to him, he was known for wearing a coat that was made of grogram cloth that he wore all the time. So it became getting the grog, something like that. So, all right.
What a douchebag.
Right? I mean, come on.
I'm known for my coat. What a jerk.
So what else about sours, guys? Sours is really a fascinating little research topic. Did you guys do much research for the show?
Yeah, I went to a blog where somebody spent about 300 words saying, sours, I really like sours. I'm going to tell you this recipe about this whiskey sour. It's so good. I love whiskey sours. There's a recipe here. If you read it far enough, here's a picture of some of the ingredients. And then don't forget, there's a recipe down there. And then a pop-up ad came up. And then finally I got to the recipe. And then I threw my phone against the wall. That was my research.
That is the most irritating thing about online recipes.
Bloggers are the worst. They can all go sit on a tack. Collectively, just one tack.
So what does make a sour? It's interesting. I want to hear what you guys think constitutes a sour. Is it 3 or 4 ingredients?
I say 3.
You say 3. John, what say you?
I can't say what the 3 things are.
Yeah. All right. What are your 3 ingredients to make a sour?
Booze.
Yes.
Something sour in the form of a citrus fruit.
Yes.
And something sweet. That's it. That's a sour. Yeah.
Now, that is going to be what I think a majority of the people will tell you makes up a sour. I would go so far as to say that water is also a component that should be considered part of the sour, because every sour is shaken on ice to dilute the drink a little bit and get that water into it. So but yes, Solomon, that it's the sweet, it's the citrus, and it's the alcohol. And then I think you consider water to be part of it for what really happens, what you really get out of it.
Talking about the sour Heinzkaboot over here.
What if I use those funky ice cubes that aren't made of ice and are just kind of frozen things, and you throw them in?
The chunks. Then I don't think you would have as good tasting drink as you get if you use ice. I don't think it would taste as well.
I think I was kind of surprised that my recipe called for 2 ounces of gin.
Mm-hmm.
It was a single drink. It certainly didn't taste like there were 2 ounces of gin in it relative to the sweetness and the sour. So I could see myself making a mistake and drinking a lot of those and feeling very poorly later.
Yeah, for sure.
Even though I was really enjoying myself when I drank it. So I was pretty surprised at that. And, when we talked about doing sours, my first thought was to do whiskey sour. My dad drank that. My grandfather drank those all the time. I'm like, no, I'm going to do something different. And I know that, gin sour was a thing. So I went that direction. But, I'm not a big gin guy. I'm not really into herbal type of, I make beer, hops or herbs, but you know what I'm talking about. I'm not really into gin. But I was pleasantly surprised at what the mixings did. And as I said, the bitters were a really nice kind of flourish to that.
Absolutely. They can, especially when you're just dropping them kind of on the top, and when you've got that egg white in there, it's going to really open up the aroma. It's just going to open up the aromatics like immensely on that drink for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was going to say something I forgot though. Better take another drink.
I just got distracted because Rhett in the chat at welikedrinking.com/show, where you ought to be every Tuesday night around 7:30ish Pacific. He just wrote whiskey shower, which I'm also a fan of.
I'm just gonna absorb it transdermally. Let's do it.
Thing, right?
When you think about, sour is a huge class of drinks. They've been made forever. You can find we're talking 1500s, 1600s, these kind of drinks were being made. Huge pre-prohibition cocktail scene was in the sours with the whiskey sours and everything else. And when you think about it, every single kind of liquor probably has a sour to it that a margarita is basically a tequila sour. You got the rum sours, gin, gin. You're kind of sitting in gimlet territory there, or daiquiri kind of territory there. So
is a Collins drink a sour?
Collins would be a sour. All these kind of drinks fall into this sour category. So the beauty of the sour for me, as well as they're just delicious, is that they're so easy to make, and you can have so much fun with them if you decide to add the egg white or don't do the egg white. Everybody, Rhett says absinthe sour.
Wow.
How do you make a sour out of toothpaste?
Don't do that. I actually really like absinthe. I think a big mistake people make with that is adding the sugar. Like, I just think that's gross. Like just a shot of absinthe over one single ice cube and let it luge out. Like, that's fucking dope.
So listeners, everybody has had a sour, but I think it's a drink that we all should explore a little bit more often. And Kristen, thank you. It was a great idea to have us drink sours tonight. Once my sour is gone, by the way, I've got this big old growler from Lizard Tail Brewing with a delicious double IPA in it that I'm going to be pouring up next. So yeah, it might be a little late to work tomorrow, everybody.
Interesting. Mine got lost in the mail. I've got a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale instead.
All right. All right.
And by the way, fuck you, Sierra Nevada. Your trebuchet video is whack. Bullshit,
get him, Jeff.
Man. Yeah, fuck you, bitch.
Can't even land it in the frickin' incinerator.
I'm just looking for the thumbnail that Eccles makes of me yelling at a beer bottle.
Well, as you can tell, folks, the sours are kicking in on the panel. So, you know.
Why so sour, Jeff?
Folks, if you're in the chat right now, you see our good friend Lori there. And Lori is the founder of Dracaena Wines. And we've talked about it before, but we feel it's important to mention again that we have a great partnership going on with Lori, and it's so exciting to see how many of you are taking advantage of it. If you go to welikeDrinking.com/wine, you'll be taken to the Dracaena website where you will be able to purchase some of Dracaena Wine's delicious Cabernet Franc that you could top off a whiskey sour and turn it into a New York sour Cab Franc style. You can also get their rosé. Eventually, they're going to have their what are they going to have? What are they going to have, Jeff? Do you remember what they're going to have?
The Chenin Blanc.
There it is.
Chenin.
Yes,
it's a very versatile grape. It's a workhorse grape. That grape.
It is. So many awards, so many accolades to the Dracaena Wines Cab Franc. If you are a Cab Franc fan, it is a Cab Franc you need to get into your face hole ASAP.
Yes.
WeLikeDrinking.com/wine. Order up as many bottles as you want. At checkout, put in WLD at checkout. You will get 5% off your order. We will get 5% of your order. Lori will get to make a huge sale on her wine, and you will get some delicious Cabernet Franc in your glass. WeLikeDrinking.com/wine.
Hells yeah. And by the way, I think Eccles kind of backed into like Dracaena Wines. They're going to have a commercial. It's going to be with a new character named Cabernet Fran. Who's just really into Cabernet Franc. I'm Cabernet Fran, and I drink Dracaena Wines. That's WLD at checkout.
You're not allowed to drink sours anymore.
I'm bourbon sour Fran.
The maple syrup. The maple syrup's going to your head,
I'm
boy.
dipping pancakes in my bourbon sour. What are you gonna do about it?
The rest of the show should be a trip. Let's find out what
Nothing,
happened.
Mr. Roulette.
Booze news. We discuss interesting, noteworthy, or maybe we just let Solomon take over. Who knows? We'll see what happens.
What are you trying to say?
Yeah, sure. Let's start with John Ruyak.
You know, it's not completely booze related, but it is if you think about it. If you're thinking about, you know, a late third meal or a fourth meal, but there is a shortage of ketchup packets going on right now in the developed world. And it's in particular hitting chains such as Long John Silver's and Texas Roadhouse. Heinz has made a commitment to up production by 25% in order to deliver over 12 billion packets of ketchup, Heinz famous ketchup, Heinz 57 varieties ketchup, into the convenience of all of those people throwing extra packets into that brown bag as you drive through. So I know it's not booze related, but it kind of is. What are we going to do about the ketchup packet shortage?
I'll tell you what. If you're, I really do love a good steak, and I feel like beef in general is underappreciated. If you're a steak person and Texas Roadhouse is your jam, you do you. I just find it odd that the Texas Roadhouse is running out of ketchup packets. Because people are like, excuse me, sir, I need more ketchup for my T-bone steak. That's a little weird. Long John Silver's, what is that seafood?
Yeah, I guess.
Ketchup. I need some ketchup on my salmon. I think that's the part that's weird. So, I definitely have feelings about ketchup people. I think ketchup is definitely fine, but there's a certain segment of the population, my wife included, where it's just the way they look at ketchup, it's just unhealthy. Like people who put ketchup on their eggs, they don't like eggs. They like ketchup because you can't taste eggs when you put ketchup on it. And by the way, any parent that makes that suggestion to their children, like, oh, Timmy, you don't like your eggs, you want some ketchup on it? You're a fucking bad parent. And I am a mandated reporter. Don't even let me know that you're doing that to your children. I have to call it in by law.
Yeah.
That's why there's a ketchup problem, because Timmy needs ketchup on his eggs. No, he doesn't. Nobody needs ketchup on
He
their
needs
eggs.
ketchup on his hush puppies at Long John Silver's.
Oh God,
man.
Oh,
This Neptune's feast is great. I just need more ketchup.
Well, hey, so all of a sudden you're gonna start a tartar sauce shortage.
Poseidon just walked in the door. We need more ketchup.
All right.
What do you think, Eggles?
I have nothing else to add to the ketchup.
Well, look, here's the thing, right? About ketchup packets. Most of the time, I don't eat at McDonald's that often, but I'm in the car.
Right.
And I don't really care about ketchup packets, and I'm driving, right? So what am I? I'm going down 40 at 75 miles an hour, and I'm gonna peel open a packet of ketchup and put it on my French fries. But the thing is, they don't normally put any in.
Right.
But if you do, it's either 0 or how many in your bag?
Like 8,000.
It's like 12, right? It's either 0 or 12. There's no in between. And what happens to those ketchup packets? They're going into landfills. And they're creating greenhouse gases because those things just blow up like a freaking balloon in the heat. And then if it's in a landfill, it's just going to explode, and all that sugar is going to ferment, and it's going to create carbon dioxide from the fermenting sugar in the ketchup. And so I'm thinking, fuck Heinz, don't make any more ketchup packets. You're contributing to global warming because it's just ending up in landfills and it's fermenting there.
Yeah, and for reals, like, I'm sorry. Look, fucking, if the drive-through, I don't do drive-throughs, but if the drive-through is giving you the ketchup packets, that needs to come in a separate bag. Because I'm sorry, you ever open up your bag and you're looking at the fries that you want to eat with ketchup packets tucked inside the nooks and crannies, you know that is Jimmy at McDonald's fingers that are now all over your fries. And I know I'm going to make this assumption. John Ruyak, former manager of McDonald's. Obviously, practices can change over time, but did y'all do like ketchup packet rotations where you took like the new ketchup packets and you put them in the back and the old ketchup packets went to the front? Like, was that a thing?
Yeah, first in, first out, you know.
Okay. I'm just saying, at minimum, I hope that that's the case, but that's still little Johnny's booty fingers all up in your fries when those ketchup packets are sitting there.
What's worse? You know what's worse? Because condiments are expensive, right? For what they do for a meal. And I worked at a couple of sit-down places, and the owners said at the end of the night, you're marrying ketchup bottles.
Oh yeah.
So you're taking them and you're pouring them in, and you know, eventually that shit starts to ferment. And I tell you what, for all the dry cleaning that we had to pay for because someone opened up a ketchup bottle and it freaking exploded all over their clothes, it would have been cheaper to just get new fucking ketchup bottles and put them on the table every day.
Okay. All right. Seriously, we've talked about this for 6 minutes and it's 5 minutes too fucking long that we've talked about this ketchup story. So we're gonna move on.
All right.
Ketchup absinthe sour. Just throw that out.
Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about, this is coming out of Virginia. Virginia Brewery is hoping to get officially recognized for one of its unique beers. It is going for a Guinness Book of World Records record, I guess, for the hottest beer ever. This is a Maltese brewing company in Fredericksburg. They are hoping to have their beer Signal 1 2.0 that they brewed using Carolina Reaper peppers to be recognized as the hottest beer in the world. They've already brewed the beer, and now they are working with scientists or researchers to try to determine exactly how much heat is in it, how much, capsaicin and dihydrocapsaicin that gives the heat. So they're seeing how hot it is recorded, and then they'll submit it to Guinness to see if it is, and it will be a new category when they get it.
If it's a new category, then they automatically won the record then, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is kind of what I want to do. I will say, I've had, didn't we do chili beers on the show?
We did
one time. And we had like the Sculpin, and there used to be a brewery like pretty close to me, El Toro Brewery in Morgan Hill, that did the Ghost chili ale. And that shit was hot, but like it also wasn't good. I've had the Stone Crime and Punishment series, which I think is a fantastic, like, hot imperial stout. I just wonder with this brewery, and I shan't repeat their name because I can't remember it. But I don't know if it's Maltese Brewing. I don't even know if it's worth remembering. Down the street from me, there's a liquor store, and painted on the outside, there's this beautiful mural. And it says really big on this mural, "The coldest beer in town." And all I think when I drive by is like, who gives a shit? You have the coldest beer in town? What is it, 33 degrees? I don't want to drink a beer that cold. And I don't really care whether or not you're wasting, this became, we like backed into the environmentally conscious episode. I don't really care that you're wasting that much of our natural resources to keep your beer a degree or two cooler by the time that I get it. I also just think it's weird I don't know if there's any sort of like third party that's verifying that shit. But then we go back to the Guinness Book of World Records. How many dumbass things need to be done in the name of, well, nobody else has done it this dumb before can we stop buying those dumb books? I don't care who the tallest person ever was. I don't care who had the longest, most disgusting fingernails. I don't give a good GD. Congratulations. You're going to make the hottest beer ever, and no one's going to enjoy it. Congratulations, Maltese Brewing in Virginia, for making some beer that everybody knows sucks. I don't even have to taste it.
They do have a challenge going on, Jeff.
John, when's the last time you you tap this keg and you're like, this is the first impression from the first customer. I can't wait for them to spit it out, slam the glass down on the ground, and fucking run around my entire store clockwise, clockwise, knocking shit over, screaming that their asshole is on fire. That's not good business.
If you drink 10 ounces of their spicy beer in 10 minutes or less, you win their challenge. Also, the Signal 1 2.0 is 70% hotter than the previous iteration, the Signal 1 1.0. John Ruyak, are you going to accept the challenge and try to make a hotter beer?
I think we should try to make the world's hottest ketchup, but I digress.
Only if it's served in packets.
Right. So this goes, the first chili beer was Ed's Cave Creek chili beer out of Arizona, and they put a chili pepper in every freaking bottle.
Oh, wow.
And some bottles were hotter than others.
Yeah.
And I remember going camping down in the mountains of southern Arizona and stopping at the store and picking up a 6-pack of Ed's Cave Creek and drinking not one, like half a one, right? Because it was freaking hot. I don't understand why you would. And well, a lot of people, if you look up Ed's Cave Creek, it ranks up there or down there, if you will, as the world's worst beer. I will also say that when I was brewing in Costa Rica, that while I was home, a batch of beer got burnt, an IPA, and I'm like, they're like, oh, what are we going to do with this batch of beer? We don't really want to throw it out. So I'm like, I've got an idea. Instead of making it better, why don't we just make it worse? And I went to this, I got back to Costa Rica. I got some Panamanian peppers, which are pretty close to Scotch bonnets or habaneros. And I minced them up and I soaked them in vodka and I put them in a muslin bag and I put it in the bright tank where we carbonate the beer. Mm-hmm. And I didn't hang the muslin bag. So what did it do? It went straight down to the bottom and into the outlet tube. So every single ounce of beer got kegged by filtering through all those peppers into those two kegs. And I tell you what, those peppers did cover up the burnt flavor of the beer, and it was freaking hot. And we sold a keg and a half of it, just as a novelty. And we've talked about this before, but maybe not with our current crop of listeners or watchers. But breweries make mistakes all the time, or things don't turn out the way you want them. So something that you thought was going to be one thing ends up being another, and you just rename it relative to to something that makes it appropriate to what it actually is when it comes out. So I think that's probably what happened with Maltese Brewing. They fucked up a batch and are like, well, we can't afford to throw it out. What can we do to make it even worse? Not to mention the fact Malta is an island in the Mediterranean Sea. And why are they calling it Maltese Brewing in a landlocked city of Fredericksburg, Virginia? It doesn't make any fucking sense.
And it's funny.
Named after their dog.
Oh, okay.
It's funny because we have that Tommyknocker has their chili beer, and we did have the chili beers on the show, and I don't know. I don't get this and I like spicy things. One of our listeners suggested, that I should try this Cabernet Habanero Reaper hot sauce. That's wine and habaneros and Carolina Reaper, 9 out of 10 on the heat. And so I enjoy spicy wings. I enjoy hot foods, but in just beer, it just doesn't make sense to me. It's just not anything.
Well, it's counterintuitive for one thing, right? You're drinking it in order to get rid of something like that. So in essence, you're just like doubling your discomfort, I guess.
And
not to mention the fact that I'm sorry, Eccles. It almost seems like when you eat stuff, particularly food, solid food, your body sequesters it. But if you pour something down your throat and it completely covers your mouth and it completely covers your esophagus and then it runs over all the sides of your stomach, I mean, it seems like a recipe for an ulcer.
And here's the thing that ruins it for me is that those flavors, while fantastic in small doses, when it takes up 12 ounces, because the thing is those flavors really take over a beer. Like, the chili beers, they taste like chili peppers, and it's like 12 ounces of chili peppers, and it gets old really quick. And so I can't say that I have never in my life and don't ever plan on eating a Carolina Reaper whole to get like what the true flavor of it is. But yeah, this doesn't sound like something I would really want to drink a lot of.
Yeah, this is just everybody. This is some Bitcoin bros like, yeah, bro. Oh, you just got Reaper, bro. Oh, you got to get on one knee and drink this beer like a jerk.
All right.
But
that's all it is.
And we're going too long in this segment too, but here's the thing.
Last thought.
They may as well have just invested in an NFT.
It is.
But peppers have flavor besides heat. Habaneros have a particular citrus flavor that goes along. They're, when you put them in the right amount, you get that citrus note. There's other ones that are just as hot that have a smoky note. There's one called a Smoky Pete, and it's shaped like a penis, but it has a real smoky flavor. So you're missing out on a lot of stuff when you're just going for frickin' Scoville units.
For the audio only people, when John said it's shaped like a penis, he held up his finger like a candy cane. I just want to throw that out there.
Well, those smoky
when there's a big stripe running in a helical pattern up the side.
Peyronie's disease. It's Bill Clinton's favorite.
At the point that all the panel members are making,
is that why it's called pepperoni?
At the point when all the panel members are making finger penis jokes on screen, it must be
last call.
Last call.
Last call. Time to clean house. Jeff's fingers gone limp and lock the doors. John Ruyak, if the folks for some reason want to follow us on social media platforms to see pictures of our fingers, where can they do so?
Oh yeah, it's a mystery to me at this point, but you can check us out on Twitter where we're We Like Drinking 1. That's the numeral 1. Instagram is just We Like Drinking. And follow us on the Tavern, welikedrinking.com/tavern. It's invitation only. We pretty much say yes to everybody, and you can join in on the fun and see Jeff making cocktails.
Jeff Solomon, do you have the show notes up?
Do I have the show notes up?
Yeah.
I can get them. In the meantime, Eccles in the chat, everybody's loving that video that you did. I love the video where you shaved your legs and rectum. So yes, show notes are up. What do we have?
All right. If the folks want to leave a review potentially on our brand of drinking fun, where can they go to do so?
Oh, you just have to take a look at your phone. Go ahead and fill in the 5 stars that are there in your app. It's probably Apple Podcasts, and leave us an honest review, just like we got last week from Det Nero Sid, who left 5 stars in this review. It says autofilling a review.
Pause before you go any further. Just to clarify, a few weeks ago, Jeff Solomon in this segment asked our listeners on their phones to go out and leave a review using the autofill feature of their phone. So just to tap out like the first 15 words that came up on their phone in the review. So now, Jeff, if you want to.
Oh, that's wonderful. That makes so much more sense. So this autofill review on iTunes. I is the best thing to do with the game, and it is pretty much the best game. I was wondering, I was like trying to pre-read. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Everybody, please auto review in iTunes. It's so much fun.
It is, and the best part, like, it's fun for us and it's fun for our listeners because they're in on it. But I just imagine the person that stumbles across our show, and if there's just like 30 reviews that just make absolutely no sense, like that would really just be
yeah. And then Ruyak is like his auto review. It's like Peyronie's disease, lip penis, you porn,
beer.
Lots of beer. Lots of beer to get through this show.
If you've done all that and you're looking to do more, you can consider becoming a supporter of the show by visiting welikedrinking.com/pledge. That'll take you to our Patreon site for as little as $1 a month. $1 a month. You can help.
As little as $1.
You can help keep our show going and growing. We are getting so close to $200 a month that we can almost taste it. I can't even look at you guys right now. We just need like $11 more a month. So if just a handful of you go out, just give us a few dollars a month. We're going to get there before you know it. You can also find the show notes for this episode with all the links to the stories or mentions we had at welikedrinking.com/episodes. Oh my goodness. This has been a lot of fun of an episode. Kristen, thank you so much for giving us the sours. Obviously, we need to give Jeff Solomon way more sours on the show.
What are you talking about? I'm Fran. I'm Cabernet Fran. I'm fine.
Yes. When you give us a little bit of money, we'll keep the show showing and growing. We have both showers and growers. But we've reached the time.
Neither.
We've reached the time of the show where I get to say, okay, panel, let's take one last trip around this table and get some final thoughts before we shut off the lights. John Ruyak.
Just remember, all you guys, if you're taking that special girl out on a first date and you order a bottle of grog and they bring it to your table and it's got chunks in it, you can't send it back because it's supposed to have chunks in it.
Chunk is the word. Jeff Solomon.
Yeah, and what I will say is this: on that first date, totally admirable economic decision. Order, instead of like the 10-ounce steak, go for the 6-ouncer and just fill in the gaps with all the ketchup you can have them bring to the table.
Dating advice from Jeff Solomon.
Lots of ketchup. She'll know you're a treat.
Viewers, you may have noticed this little thing on my head. It is something we have added to the store just in time for summer. Get yourself a winter hat, a winter cap with the logo on it. Cool stuff in the store, WeLikeDrinking.com/store. I don't even know what it is.
Merch.
But
Merch.
Merch. Sure.
Store scribe.
And with that, I'll say thanks again for joining us at the We Like Drinking podcast, where you'll never drink alone.
JVB. Imagine
Jesus.
wine being swirled in a glass, but it's just bigger. The idea is bigger than the container. You know what I'm saying, man? It's like it can't be contained in a vessel. The vessel makes the idea small. Very small.
Yeah. See, you think the glasses would be right about here, and you're swirling, and you just get a little too excited, and there goes the shot onto Solomon's face.
Are you trying to, like, none of us can see your cursor, bro?
Oh, well, then that does no good.
What the fuck are you doing to my face with your cursor when I'm not watching?
You don't even want to know. All right.
Oh, bro, I'm gonna roast that guy so hard with my cursor. Here, I'm doing it right now. Oh, I'm fucking gouging your eyes out, bro.
All right, Kristen, that was awesome. Thank you so much that was a fantastic idea. Awesome seeing everybody in here, the whole crew. Cody was here for a while. I don't know if he took off or what, but it was awesome.
It was really good to see Cody. It's been a while. Where's
We lost Burroughs when we started talking about ketchup for too long.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Haven't seen Meth in the chat in a while.
It has been. I think he got a new job or something like that.
I totally get it, man. I don't watch the show. My eyes are closed the whole time.
All right. What's next week? What's next week? I want to say it's
non-alcoholic beer.
I think it might be. Hold on, I'm looking.
Sour, man. Gilroy grown Eureka lemons, dude.
Yeah, listeners, next week, we're having the non-alcoholic beer folks on.
Oh, sweet, man. I have 3 of them in my fridge right now.
I make Boilermakers with my
It's going to be, I don't know.
We'll see. I mean,
Hairless Dog is the name of the brewery. Interesting that they don't make their beer like other non-ABV beers that usually have like a 0.05% or something like that. This is true 0.0. So I think it's going to be an interesting discussion. I think it's going to be interesting to talk about, who their market is and what they're going for. I think it's going to be fun. So
yeah, it'll be different. It's not like what they do with Heineken. Like they brew it to full strength and then they boil it out. Like it's not that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, they're starting to bring up fingerling potatoes in the chat. So I think
there you go. That's how to shut everything down.
Thank you, everybody. We will talk to you all next week.
LARPing.